Welcome back to Hot Take. I'm here with Mark Goldbridge. It's a painful morning, mate, isn't it? It's a painful morning. It's a painful one.
Yeah, I mean, look, I suppose it's we're prepared for the contrast of it. But yeah, it's fair play to Spurs, by the way. I've got no complaints there. Ange absolutely belittled our manager in front of the watching world. And I didn't turn up, and I think that's always it's the minimum you expect from a football fan. You expect your team to turn up for a final. I'm still baffled by that, and not scoring in a final as well. Terrible.
Yeah, I agree. Ange, it's probably a conversation for another day. I said it last night. He did this thing where he's done it in a lot of European games, to be fair. He was pragmatic. It was peak Jose Mourinho football, sat back, hard to break down. And the one thing that stood out for me is the difference in the power and athleticism. And you go back to the Van der Ven clearance off the line.
Yeah.
Do you reckon Maguire's getting up there? Do you think Lindelof's getting up there? Do you think, barring Lenny Yoro, I don't know if we have a player athletic enough to get their leg that high that quickly. And that was a massive thing for me last night. We'll get into Amroim, we'll get into Garnacho, but we need to buy some athletes because we just looked, honestly, half a yard too slow, nowhere near strong enough. And Amroim called this in an interview, I think, in the semi-final or the quarterfinal. We do better against the European sides because we're as strong and as fast as them. But in the Prem, we're awful. It's like little boys versus men. It was painful to watch. It really, really was. But yeah, look, we've got some stuff to react to. Hot takes. So we take views, opinions, videos that are out there from others. We're obviously touching on last night's situation with Manchester United. We're going to be looking at some transfers as well. Get the like button hit for us if you haven't done so already. Please get yourself subscribing as well. And thank you, Maurice, for becoming a brand new member of the Football Terrace this morning. It means a great deal. First clip I want to play, actually, is to do with Alejandro Garnacho. This is what he said after the game.
Sí, obviamente es duro para todos después de esta temporada que la verdad que fue una mierda, tanto ahora al perder la final y en la Liga que no ganamos a nadie, la verdad. Pero bueno, muy duro y bueno, vamos a intentar terminar la temporada y ver qué pasa después.
So essentially what he said, I don't think any of us speak, or I don't speak Spanish, but he said that I played every round to help the team reach the final, and today I only got 20 minutes. I don't know. I'm going to try and enjoy the summer and see what happens next. He says this season was shit, losing the final and not beating anyone in the league. A clear jab here at the manager, not getting the game time the minutes that he thinks he deserved. What was your view on Garnacho saying this straight after the game, Mark?
I mean, look, I'm doing this from a position. I've just come from the United stand and I pretty much know he's gone from Man United. I think everybody probably realises that now, but it was always 50-50 from January. The club tried to sell him. He spoke to Napoli. Amroim wanted him to stay. And what we saw last night at the end of the game was the disintegration of the Garnacho-Amroim relationship, which was the only thing that was keeping him here. I think Amroim said something about him after the game as well, which I don't think he should have said, which was unprofessional, something along the lines of he missed a chance in the semi-final, so he's not playing, which was just ridiculous in itself. In a night full of ridiculous takes, you could fill a month, I think, with the content and comments. But look, I know Garnacho's going, so I'm not defending him in the sense of that. But I completely agree with it. You know, I actually agree with what he said. We have been shit this season. We have been appalling and we didn't deserve to win the final. And I also agree with him on the sense that he probably shouldn't say this, but if he knows he's going, why wouldn't you? He's played pretty much week in, week out, 2 games a week. Ahmad's been injured most of this year. Mount's been injured most of the season. He's played every week. He's had to put up with the criticism, the demands on his body, and he's put a shirt on every week. Gets to the final and sits there for 71 minutes watching 2 players. I mean, Mason Mount, I didn't even know he was playing at times. Ahmad started off quite well. I think he's got every right to be like pissed off. He hasn't got a right to demand that he starts because a manager's got a right to pick the team. But I'd be pissed off if I was Garnacho. I understand that. And obviously he's leaving anyway. So what's the problem with it? You got all these United. What annoys me this morning, Terry, is that this morning I'm very much of the opinion that there's not an opinion out there unless it's abusive that I'm not going to agree with. If you want to sell Rasmus, you want to sell Onana, you want to sell Bruno, you want to sack the manager, you want to sell Garnacho, That is your right. Because when United deliver up a season like that and a performance like that last night, nobody in the club, player, manager, owners can say, oh, that's not fair. That criticism is a bit harsh. It's absolutely justified. So that's all I would say. But I just don't like the fact that we're waking up and making the same mistakes where people are trying to. We always do it as a fan base. It'll be Rasmus's fault in a minute. It'll be Bruno's fault. It'll be Garnacho's fault for an honest interview. And people are going, oh, Garnacho, get rid of him. He's a show off, this, that, and the other. But what lies is he telling? All right, he's crossing the line of putting it out publicly, but he's going anyway. It's been a shit season.
Yeah, look, I see it in a few ways. First of all, I don't think we're 16th because of any one person. I don't think we lost last night because of any one individual. So I don't believe in scapegoating Amorim, scapegoating Garnacho, Rasmus. Someone might try and blame Pogba still somewhere. You'll find that. Like that's what people will do. I don't believe in that.
Is.
Yeah, Graham Souness is it again. What was Pogba doing last night? For me, I didn't like what Garnacho did because I think it's been a part of an embodiment of an issue we have with player power. And obviously player power is a little bit of a generic colloquial term for it. I think we have too many players in our team that think about themselves over the team. And I'm not even saying that he is wrong to feel disappointed. I watched the 99 documentary a few months ago, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said that he wasn't only fuming to be on the bench. He said, I was absolutely seething when I saw Sheringham coming on before me. I want players to have this. I want players to want to play. But I've seen this too many times. And the thing is, this is why it's not about Garnacho specifically, but about the way we run the club.
Yeah.
I think too many players want to be the superstar, the main man, the poster boy. I want to play in my best position every week. I don't want to have to adjust. I don't like this new system the manager's bringing in. Or I don't like the fact that we've just signed someone who's going to challenge me for my position. I'm going to not work as hard, or I'm going to get my agent to put something out in the press. In the individual moment around what Garnacho said, I get it. But it's been a wider issue for the better part now of 7 years at Manchester United. And I don't like the way this dressing room behaves. Do I trust, after hearing Garnacho say that, clearly not liking what the manager's trying to make him do on the pitch, do I trust that he's given his all in every single game? Do I trust that his mind is completely focused every week? I don't know. And that isn't to defend Amorim personally, because we're going to get onto whether he should stay or go in a minute. For me, Mark, one thing we have failed as a fan base to, I think, grasp in the last 12 years is that we must protect the position of manager and head coach, not necessarily the person within it. And I'll tell you as to why very quickly. For me, you may dislike Amorim's system and style and go, Garnacho's right, Rashford was mistreated, the fact that Mainoo's not playing is wrong, sack this man, get rid of him. You've got to ask why it hasn't worked for these players and then look at the examples under the previous managers. The players shouldn't be allowed to dictate who they run through brick walls for, who they work hard for. Because even if we got rid of Amorim today and we bring in a manager that bends the knee, says, Garnacho, you can play in this role. Mainoo, you're going to play here. I'll adapt my system to you. That will work in the short term, as we've seen before. Then what will happen is that manager will have to adapt. Why do we know this? Pep doesn't play the same football today as he did 7-8 years ago when he joined the Prem. Gundogan has been used in multiple positions. If City had a dressing room and a club where the players got to dictate to their manager when they work hard based on the position they get put in, they wouldn't have won those trophies. So for me, this is something that's beyond Amorim. This is where I'm looking at Ineos. This is where I'm looking at the Baradas of this world. That's something they have got to fix. We can't have it where players feel entitled to play where they want to play and only give their all in that position. We saw it with Rashford a couple of years ago, killing it. Then he was asked to slightly adapt. We've got to try and create for this number 9 we've got now. And you could see he didn't want to do it. His shoulders went down. He wasn't the same guy. So for me, I'm gutted to see Garnacho say this because I really hope we can make it work with him at the club. But I think it's an example of a much bigger, deep-rooted problem at the football club that needs to be fixed, because no manager can be successful at our club if the players are always throwing their toys out the pram when they don't get what they want. Wayne Rooney was used in every single position imaginable by Fergie. Imagine he didn't want to work because Fergie said, you're playing on the left today. We can't have that at this club for me, mate. It's something we've got to eradicate.
Yeah, just reading Brookie's comment. Shame on Goldbridge. He hammered every player last night apart from Rasmus. Clearly didn't watch my watch along or my match reaction, mate, because Rasmus got the same score as Bruno and every other shit player on the pitch. And I didn't hammer every player. I didn't hammer Dorgu and Yoro, who I thought were our best players as kids. I just think, I completely agree with what you're saying, Terry. But my context around Garnacho is that's a player that knows he's leaving.
Yes.
So he's just unloading, and it's never a good thing. But I do actually petulantly agree with him. I would be miffed as to why he picked Mason Mount over him. And then Mason Mount puts in an absolute shit display as well. And also, it's the biggest game of your career, isn't it? Like, that's the big, I get it. It's not right, but it's funny. Raphael, the ex-right back for Man United, he was at the game last night and he was talking to Beth. And he actually, I don't know whether it's on an interview or not, so I might be, saying something that was private. But he apparently said, in relation to Garnacho, as an ex-player, I get it. You work hard all season. You've been playing every game. You're not, other people are injured. They're not available. You get to the final and then you're out the team for somebody who's not been there for 90% of the time. And then they play shit and you're waiting to come on and you don't get on till the last 20 minutes. It's, but that's the thing. I think normally you'd probably stay quiet about it, but because he knows he's probably going, he's like,
and I can appreciate that, and I think that's something. Amroim made a massive mistake last night. Equally though, I put Garnacho on the bench in the starting lineup I wanted. I still think he's a better player in the last 20 to 30 minutes of a game against tired legs, and he showed that yesterday. He was far more dangerous than Mount when he came on. I wouldn't have started Mount though. It would have been Bruno and Ahmad in the 10s for me, with Ugarte and Cass in the central areas, because I just had this gut. I had this gut feeling more the day went on that they were going to play their European style Tottenham, where they were going to sit back, which meant the midfield wasn't going to be over. We didn't even need. I would have liked Mainoo on the pitch, but you don't need the techie ballers. We just need people that can funnel the ball into the dangerous areas, because they were going to sit back behind the ball. And Ruben got that wrong massively last night. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. Here is a clip from Ruben. And the question I'm posing is, should Ruben Amorim be sacked? Let's take a look at what he said, people.
Is open. If the board and the fans feel that I'm not the right guy, I will go in the next day without any conversation about compensation. But I will not quit again. I'm really confident on my job. And as you can see, I will not change nothing in the way I do things. In this moment, I'm not going to be here defending myself. It's not my style. I cannot do it. Is really hard for me. So I have nothing to show to the fans and say, I'm going to improve because of this. I had these problems. I will not do nothing. So in this moment is a little bit of faith.
What do you make of that? He said, I'm not going to make excuses. I'm not going to say I need better players or I need this or I need that, which I think is commendable. But he's also said that if the board bring him in for a meeting today and say, we don't want you anymore, he'll walk compensation free. What's your take on that? And a lot of people this morning asking for him to be sacked. They think he is, again, we're at this point again, the biggest problem at the club. What's your thoughts, mate?
Well, I've called him Robin Hood before because he takes money, and gives to the poor. Take the compensation and give it to charity, mate. Don't leave it in the fucking Glazers' pocket. So I definitely take the compensation. That's interesting. Matthew is in the chat saying, look, I'd rather have Garnacho, what he said, than what we've seen from some players saying we need the fans to keep the faith. I mean, that's effectively what Amrim's saying. We need the fans to keep the faith. And faith sort of runs out a little bit. I think Amrim, I back Amrim. He's not going to get sacked. I'm not going to waste time talking about Amrim getting sacked. What I would ask you, Terry, as well, is this the beginning of the end for Amrim? Because I think that is, as somebody who backs the manager, and I backed Ten Hag really late, I backed Ollie late, I backed Mourinho late, and I'll back Amrim late. That's what I'll do. Everyone knows that. I'm not about to go Amrim out. I just won't do it. But I think I lost something last night as an Amrim supporter. I think he showed a real glaring weakness that I was like, it was so obvious what Spurs were doing. And like you say, he didn't need the creative players centrally because it was lockdown. He needed to put wingers on the wing and remove the fullbacks because they weren't attacking. Got 3 centre-backs and 2 fullbacks. We had no men in the box. We can't play through the middle. Bruno Mount was redundant. Get some wingers on, get somebody in the box, start attacking down the flanks because that's what they're giving you. He didn't do it. And his subs were really late and he thought we played well. And I just think you know what? You've basically been beaten by an Australian Tony Pulis last night. Even Ange admitted he parked the bus. It's not the way Spurs play, but they just got a job done. So I think with Amorim, yeah, like he was stubborn last night, and stubbornness is a good trait, but it can also be a bad trait. And I think what he's basically saying there is that I'm never going to change the way I play, but he needed to change, not the system, just needed to get different players in the right position. But I mean, do you not think that's the beginning of the end for Amorim in the longer term? And also, do you not think a manager saying basically what Bruno said as well, you know, if the club wants to sell me, I'll go. If the club want me to go, I'll go. I mean, it's a little bit like that's the captain and the manager as the representatives of our club basically going, if they want me to go, I'll go. And I probably need a little bit more than that at the moment. We don't need, if you want me to go, I'll go. We actually need, I ain't fucking going anywhere. I believe in this project. I believe in this football club. It's a little bit white flag, really.
Yeah, I think I interpret it a little bit differently. I looked at it as someone, I mean, it could be the beginning of the end. And there are a lot of people that want him sacked. I disagree. It's not that I disagree with sacking him. It's when people break down and you listen to why, they're putting a lot of the issues on Ruben Amorim, the system, the way we're playing. And again, I didn't think the system was so much the issue last night. It was the lack of quality and the lack of physicality from players in those positions. And I feel that if you put better players on the pitch last night, I think we win the game. Some people will disagree with that, and we can just agree to disagree. We can have that conversation. I'm not defending Amorim directly, though. It's not about whether we sack him or not. Too many Man United fans ignore the root cause problems at Manchester United. And we've done this for every single manager in and manager out debate. For instance, I think there's a player issue at the club. I think a lot of these players pick and choose when to turn up. I think we have a lot of these players that when it comes to certain big games, that they don't show up. And I did a preview on Monday. I said this on the United Stand Monday when I was on, or Tuesday, whichever day I was on, maybe Monday. Monday afternoon. That for me, the only thing that would disappoint me is if we didn't turn up, if we didn't show a little bit of authority. And I don't know about you, but I've seen these players under Amorim play so much better with more authority, get their foot on the ball, play better passes, show that they have the cojones to do it. So I don't think that Amorim last night made those players a shadow of what they can be, because I've seen them do that, because I've seen all these tweets come out today, for instance, like this. He wouldn't have allowed this to happen. You get all this revisionism. Yeah, and for me...
Well, the fans forced him out. We've done the shows. Yeah.
And if we're going to be honest, well, of course he wouldn't have lost the final last night, Ten Hag, because he's record in Europe. He doesn't get the finals. He doesn't even get to the finals. So but we do this all the time. We do this revisionism. And I think if we just listen to some of these United fans and we sack him today, we adapt to the players. Oh, it's okay. We'll play you in your favorite position. You don't want to run that hard. It's okay. We'll sit in a bit of a low block and we'll buy a few pacey players so you guys don't have to work as hard and you can sit in and we'll counter. That'll all work in the short term until we get into the top 6 again or the top 8 and the manager goes, right, I need some better players technically on the ball. We need to adapt the system. But what it means, guys, is that it means 100% effort in 100% of the games, 100% of the time. And the players go, but I don't want to do that. So they start downing tools again. And then what will happen is we'll go, do you remember when Ruben said we had to suffer? He was right. The same as we're now revising Ten Hag. The same as before, during the Ten Hag's bad times. How many people started re-quoting Ralph Rangnick after saying he was an idiot and a bum? When Ollie was suffering, Jose was right. Coming second was the best achievement ever. We will end up in the same position again. So for me, it's not about sacking Amorim or not. He isn't the biggest problem at the club. Great, sack him if you want. If that's your opinion, that doesn't fix us. The same as sacking Ten Hag, sacking Jose, sacking Van Gaal, sacking Ollie. None of those direct actions. And we did. I think Ten Hag's a better manager than Ollie, as an example. I think Jose's a better manager than LVG. So we've up levels each time. We haven't consistently in the league become a better team, which tells me over 12 years, Mark, the managers have never been the root cause problem at the club because we've progressively got worse. Player power is a massive issue. Players playing when they want, downing tools, and a technical issue at the club. We don't have good enough players. That's a big thing. The other element is this. I'm looking at Ineos today, mate. I don't know about you. I have been different approach to you. I've agreed with a lot of what you've said about them. I've slammed what they've done with the redundancies. I hate the way it's operating. I don't
You've
like
looked for the good in them, haven't you?
But,
You've
but
looked for the
I'm
good.
waiting to see the proof in the pudding. Year one, I can categorically say disastrous. I'm now looking more at them this summer. I don't care. To a degree, I want Amroim to stay. But if they sack him, great. But we still need to go out and buy better, more technical, more physical players with a better mindset. That doesn't change irrespective of who the head coach is. If we don't improve this squad, next year we might be 4 or 5 places higher in the league. But if you look at our trajectory over 12 years, we're going to keep getting worse unless we improve all those elements of the squad. The manager, of course, he has an important role, but I still think as fans, we're ignoring the root cause problem of this football club, because irrespective of the head coach or the manager, we have progressively got worse over a 12-year period. And to ignore that, for me, it's sacrilegious. It's you are clutching at low-hanging fruit, but you're deluding yourself. Just sacking Amorim isn't the problem at the club, the same as all the previous managers were. So for me, sack him or don't sack him, great. I'm looking at what these owners do in terms of improving our squad, because our squad is so... I thought it was poor. It's beyond that. It's worse than I ever imagined. And the more sophisticated system, by the way, has exposed it. Massive work needs to happen this summer, mate. Massive work.
Yeah, also, and I think just to respond to that, but also let's not forget, well done to Tottenham, but also Son didn't start, Kulusevski, Maddison, and Bergwall, 3 of their best players, injured. I mean, it would have been an opportunity for Man United to win that game where we would have been getting away with it anyway. To lose to that Spurs team is even worse. So that's how bad it is for Man United. And fundamentally, even if we were in the Champions League next year, that team's still shit. It still needs players. And I look at even if you're in the Champions League next year, it's a survival, it's a financial thing. God knows what happens to United now. But if we were in the Champions League next season, there are a lot of teams in Europe next season from the Premier League. So you might not get the 5 spots. You might only get 4. I wouldn't put Man United in the top 5 next season, even if we had Champions League money. And I certainly won't put us there next year. Every team that's in the Champions League is getting £100 million more than Man United next season and this season. And it only takes 3 or 4 seasons, and it's nearly £500 million more revenue. The strong are getting stronger, and Man United are getting weaker. So I feel like Ineos and the Glazers are still living off we're Man United. We're Man United. But the league is unforgiving. It doesn't, if you're Real Madrid or Barcelona, you can have a shit season and still finish 3rd. You can't do that in the Premier League. It's unforgiving. No. And look at where we're going to finish this year. So I think Manchester United, in relation to what the approach is, what really frustrates me is that, and I've said it so many times, if this was Liverpool Football Club, the Glazers wouldn't be here. They'd be gone years ago. I don't know. 75,000 people will turn up on Sunday. Why? I'm entitled to that opinion. Why? We're going on this end of season tour next week. Why are people turning up? Because that's why the Glazers are here. They can shit on your face and you will applaud it. Like they really are looking at it going, this is incredible. We're still making money out of these absolute morons. And look at where we are as a football club. Yeah. What we need is, and I've seen other clubs do it, and we won't do it because our owners won't put money in. What you need is, in this situation in football, you cannot just go, we've got to cut, we've got to sack, we've got to reduce, because you're weakening yourself. Everyone else is spending. What I would do is I would be like, Gyokeres, what's it going to take? What's it going to take? What can we build in this contract that in a year, if we're not in Europe, you can leave? Edison, what's it going to take? I'd be going around these players saying, look, in 1 year, we'll be back in the Champions League. We're building something here. But we haven't got the money to do it.
Well, there's a comment here. Ineos must deliver this summer 6 quality players. On top of that, I wanted to pose this point to you. This was put out on Twitter last night by a guy called Mike, who says Ineos are going to have to be brave and probably accept future sanctions, to be honest. The last thing we can afford to do is go into next season without major upgrades. If it means we take a fine down the road, so be it. You're not getting anywhere by persisting. And there is an element of me that agrees with this, along the lines of lose money. You might get a 10-point deduction as an example. But if we're 30 points better off next season and you get a 10-point deduction, in the short term, that might be worth it. It might be worth taking a points deduction under the PS, because remember the no FFP issue now. We're not in Europe, so we've actually got more leeway to spend than if we were in Europe. So that will help us on accounting levels. And I keep seeing a lot of people say this is the beginning of the end for Man United. There is no money. Look, this club generates money. There is, like, if Bournemouth can buy good, we still have more money than Bournemouth's, Newcastle's, Brighton's. If they can sign good players, so can we. And that's why I'm really focusing on them. We need, as you say, a lot of people are going now, the Gyokeres deal can't happen. I agree, Arsenal are favourites. But there should be a knee-jerk reaction where they go, do you know what? We were going to offer him 200 grand a week. How about we offer him 250 grand a week? Because we need it now. We need it now more than ever.
That's what I mean, Terry. Football clubs have done that. We know this over the years. Like, how do you think Man City went from a shitty team to a top 4 team? Because they went and said, we're going to give you more money than everyone else.
No, I couldn't agree with you more on that, mate. There's a few comments I want to go to his super chats. First one says, a manager who selects Shaw, Mount, Højlund in a starting 11 and made his first substitution in the 70th minute should be sacked immediately. Being young is not an excuse. I also don't. Yeah, I mean, who you're bringing in?
Yeah.
Does that actually improve us in the long term? Is my questions. Thirdly, a manager making a mistake in a final isn't an indication that it'll never be good enough. I've seen the greatest managers of all time pick the wrong teams and make mistakes in finals. It happens. At the same time, and this is why fine margins are important, if Van der Ven doesn't clear that ball off the line and we equalise and we go on to win, we'd all be saying, well, he got his spot on. There are fine margins in this. He did make a mistake. For me, I wouldn't look at last night in isolation as a reason to sack him or not with where Man United are. If we were 4 years in, he's had 400 million, 500 million, 600 million spent, and we're losing finals like that, and we're getting nowhere near title races, then I would absolutely fundamentally agree with you. But I said before the game yesterday, I stand by it. My mindset hasn't really changed. We won, I'd be happy, but it's still a long way to go to be better. We lost, so I feel sad and deflated, but there's still a long way to go to get better. I still don't, and this super chat here for me probably sums it up best. Sacking Amorim is no different to you washing your car in the middle of a thunderstorm and expecting the car to be squeaky clean at the end. I think there's so much truth in that. I don't think he is one of our biggest issues. Where the problem will lie, it's not with him directly. If we are not going to buy the players that the way we're trying to play football needs, then we are better off sacking him. Does that make sense? If we're not going to bring in the faster, stronger, quicker players, we're just going to spend 100 million this summer on Cunha and Delap and go, there you go, Ruben. You are better off sacking him and bringing in Sean Dyche. You're better off getting Southgate. You're better off with a manager that can go, right, with this shitty group of players, I can get you in the top 10. I can get you in the top 8. That's what we need. If you're going to bring in someone like Ruben, you need to buy him the players that his squad needs. So for me, it's a little bit chicken and egg. If we're going to keep him, we have to buy the players that are required. There's no point keeping him and not giving him the players. It's kind of strange. It's like you sending your team off to you're going to go Bilbao, Beth, but you're not getting a camera or a microphone. I need great content. See you later. It's it's stupid. The only reason to sack Amorim would be if you believe he is unable to rebuild with these owners. Great point, Patrick. Any manager will need years because we can't. It seems the owners can't back him properly financially. It is going to take years. I think that Man United fans have got to wake up to that. Our fan base is a joke. Are they asleep? I still don't think some Man United fans have ever grasped the root cause problems at this club. Excuse me. Sorry, I sneezed. We, Man United, are not going to win anything anymore whilst the Glazers and Ineos are still there. They are the problem. Simple maths. Do you know what, Ben? I don't really want to get into it because I spent years doing this. I still sometimes sit here at night when I'm stressing about United and think, if only everybody would have listened and we all boycotted 5 years ago, pulled our money away. We still had loads of profitability then. We still had loads of cash. We could have forced them out. But as everyone says, there's always an excuse. No, there's too many tourists, or why should I give up my ticket? Or my kids love the kits. And we all do it. We all participate in one way, shape or form. But for me, protests are great. I stand by them. I support them. I'll do everything I can to help them. But if you really want to force the owners out, the only way is to take... If they're only here for money, the only way to stop them is by taking the money away. And for me, it's not going to happen, unfortunately. I agree with Terry. The issue are cultural at Man United. There always has been post Fergie. Having said that, I haven't seen anything to back Ruben Amorim with another 200 million. See, Akash, this is the thing for me. It's not about backing him. The squad needs better players regardless. So I get your point, but I don't want to see the club not spend money because we're not sure about the manager. Buy better midfielders, buy better strikers, buy better defenders, buy a better goalkeeper. My God, he was bad last night, wasn't he? For the goal.
We were out last Wednesday. Greg used to play in goal, and he was in the chat saying it's not his fault. I said, I said it on the stream, like his reactions, you may as well have a bloody concrete cock in goal. It was like absolutely useless. And he was like, no. And I'm like, no, I'm not having it. I'm not having it. His reactions, that ball is moving not particularly quick for 2 meters, and he's just so slow. He's like a bodybuilder up top. No, very few goalkeepers are like that. They're not. You look at Courtois, you look at De Gea, you look at Nick Pope, you look at Raya. They're all quite slimline up here because it's about simple body physics, isn't it? The more muscle weight you've got at the top, the harder it is for your body to get down. And I think Jordan Pickford saves that. I really do. I think it's just a quick cat reflex, palm it round the post. But he's so fundamentally, he's got air miles for booting it long. I thought he was a ball playing goalkeeper. Yoro wanted him to sweep a keeper. He didn't do that. He doesn't come for crosses. He can't make. He's awful. He's really bad. And now that the final's out the way, he's got to go.
No, I agree. And this is what I say, Akash, to your point. I understand you don't trust Ruben, and that's fair that you don't trust him. But the club still needs better players. I have this argument with Gooners that go, we shouldn't give Arteta any more money. Well, you should. Because let's say you get, they're linked to some brilliant players, Zubimendi, Gyokeres, Rodri. If you bring them in and he gets you second and you're really close again, but not over the line, and he does then get sacked, you've got a fantastic team for the next manager. Why waste a year of not recruiting and missing out on brilliant players just to spite the current manager? For me, that's backwards thinking. At the end of the day, you have to improve this squad irrespective of who the head coach is at this particular moment. Because
what annoys me though is like we're seeing these stories about £100 million transfer budget, and it really annoys me. It really annoys me because we gave £300 million to Ten Hag, and Ineos weren't even sure on him. This is your guy with a different system, and you're not even going to give him a third of what you gave Ten Hag. Like, this guy needs $1 billion. He probably needs $1 billion. He needs at least $500 million as quick as you can. Like,
well, of course,
where's it going to come from?
Oh yeah, that's it. Well, that's what I'm saying. I think we should risk breaking PSR. Stop playing by the rule book, man. Let's sell the women's team to ourselves. Let's sell the women's team to ourselves. Let's sell the stadium to India. Let's do something, right? Let's just listen. I'm not saying Chelsea have not been great the last 3 years, but just take a leaf out of their book. Sell some land, do something to raise some money. Get it done, United. Get it done.
If Man City get found not guilty, the whole FFP thing doesn't work anyway. And also, also whenever there's a Premier League vote, Man United are one of the biggest people who vote against Man City on these things. If we suddenly went, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, you could shift the whole platform of the Premier League. The trouble is, we're not Newcastle. We haven't got an owner that's got hundreds of millions of pounds they want to throw in. We've got owners who want to take money out. And I've always said this, there's ways you can get money into that club. We're going to the other side of the world to earn 8 million. Ineos could sponsor Old Trafford for 20 tomorrow, but they won't do it. So there's ways you can, we'll take a tired team to the other side of the world for 2 meaningless friendlies to get 8 million quid when we could be giving our players time off. I mean, mentally and physically, Terry, you're not going to want to do that. You're going to want to get that Villa game out of the way and get on a fucking beach. And what are we doing? We're damaging next season to earn 8 million quid when there's literally so many ways you could get 20, 30 million pounds into that club if you had owners that want to do it. Knobheads.
Mate, I hear you, especially after that defeat last night. Let the players rest. The fact that some United fans still go down the sack the manager route after years of the same cycle is wild. Definition of insanity. Do you know what? I'll defend them in the sense of if they think it's part of the problem and there's loads of other things to fix as well, great. It's just, when I've listened to some of the podcasts last night, when I've read some threads from people, you read it and you go, well, you really do think that we are massively better than this. And that's a concern for me, but there we go. Hey guys, any chance we don't get Cunha now, or is the deal basically done? That deal's going to happen. I think that's over the line. That's finished. I wouldn't be surprised if at any minute now they announce it, that here we go. I hope they don't do it today. Read the fucking room. Shut Fabrizio up. I know you know Fabrizio. I mean it in a nice way. Like, no, here we goes today. Kind of almost, I will use it. Let the fans kind of mourn in peace for a day before you put out any PR, please. Please, please, please. Retired Ben Foster is better than Onana. Would you put Ben Foster in goal now over Onana for that final, if you could do it again?
I think it'd have saved that.
Yeah, same. June 2024, no one knew our targets until we went for them. This year will be more clueless than that because nobody knows how much we can afford. Thoughts?
I don't think Man United know their targets anymore. Do we have targets anymore? I mean, look, you've got to sort of assume that we're going to try and make a lot of signings because the players that he's got don't work. But he sort of said after the game himself, there's two transfer plans. One was based on the Champions League and buying players. This one is based more on having more time on the training ground. So, I mean, can you polish a turd? I don't think that Liam Delap coming in for Rasmus is necessarily going to be a massive upgrade. I think Cunha coming into that attack over a Mount or a Garnacho or an Ahmad is an upgrade. And it's about how many upgrades you can make. I mean, Wolves had Cunha all season and we're in a relegation battle. So one player is not going to make us. We finished, 16th, 17th. So they need to bring a lot of players in, but I think they're going to be scrapping around. Look, the thing is, when you're desperate, you buy shit. And what are we going to buy?
I hear that. And obviously, as you've mentioned, you know, we've seen the social media post from Garnacho's brother. You've then seen Bruno's agent talk about, you know, some things in life are just unfair. You deserve more. Bruno's obviously made his comments about, if the club want me to go, I will go. Do you think that's something we might cash in on? Do you think now the club might go, if we can get 100 million from Saudi Arabia for Bruno, do you think they might do that now?
I would. I before last night, I probably wouldn't. In fact, I said I wouldn't, but I would do it now because I think if you've hit rock bottom, then now is the time to do the reset. So Bruno's 31. He doesn't suit the midfield pivot. I thought he was a nightmare in that role last night. He's a number 10 that Amroim doesn't want to play as a number 10. Amroim absolutely loves him and thinks he can use him in the midfield pivot. No chance. Absolutely none. He got absolutely bullied yesterday. He hasn't got the defensive discipline. So as much as it's amazing to think about selling Bruno, where does Bruno start in that team? Like, where he's not a liability. So I think that for me is a big one. And yeah, I'd take the money. I think I would take the money. Yeah. Would you?
Yeah, I when it first came out, I said yes, and then I kind of convinced myself no. But I was sitting there yesterday. Depends on who we buy with it. That's the only sort of caveat I have. If we could take that money and go and get Belieber and Cherky for the same money, plus we know Cunha's coming in, I would view that as a squad upgrade. Like, you know, you're bringing in, you know, and we need players like Belieber in our middle. So it depends on who we would use to sign it with. But the money they're talking about is British transfer record fees, which makes it 120 odd million. If you could get that for Bruno now, especially with not getting that Champions League money, that's pure profit on the trading accounts because we don't owe any money on Bruno Fernandes. So as long as the Glazers and Ineos are not pocketing any of that money, if that all went straight back into the squad, that could be something that overall improves us next season. The only thing we have to make sure we're replacing is his goals, because he does score goals. He does win us games and wins us points. Without in this season, we might have got relegated. So we just need to make sure that we're buying and getting replacements for those goals.
I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. Without Bruno this season, we might have been relegated. Without Bruno this season, we wouldn't have been in the final. So I'm not disrespecting what Bruno is. I'm just saying right here, right now, yesterday, I wouldn't have sold him. Today, rock bottom, not going to be in Europe for a year. So the next time we play in Europe, Bruno is going to be coming up for 32. Paying him 300 grand a week. Someone's offering us 100 million pounds. If we're at rock bottom, now's the time to do it. If we're going to do it,
I agree. Absolutely gutted, boys. But the more I think about it, I believe something like this needed to happen so the players can finally be called out. A good goalkeeper comes out and makes himself big to stop the shot. Plus, it's his near post. And what's worse is the keeper is going to be here next season. I'm not, again, depends on budget. I'm not too sure about that. I'm really not too sure about that if he's going to be here next year. If he is, we just know there's going to be at least 5 to 10 games next year that we might deserve to win that we're not going to because of that goalkeeper. Getting yourself fit for the Euros and then missing the whole season is awful. Shaw deserves to be criticised. He sums up the problem at United. In fairness to Shaw, though, he admitted that himself last night. We all need to look at ourselves. He wasn't sitting there and, he apologised to the fans. He said that most of these players, we have to look at, are we actually good enough to be at this football club? And he included himself, and he's right. He isn't good enough anymore. He's too injury prone. He's got to go. Garnacho been shit all season, yet he did deserve more minutes in the final. Rashford and Ante vindicated, but they're not vindicated. Again, I'm not going to have this revisionism. They've been poor for us for 18 months or so. Them not being here, it was the right decision still, irrespective of how bad we are. They were terrible for us. They were terrible for us. I don't think we can do the revisionism on those players. Could finances be the start of the end? Well, I don't think Man United are going to go bankrupt and go out of business and not exist anymore. So I think that's an exaggeration from the media. Sell them all. Just Ahmad, Yoro, and Xerxes are untouchable. Big reset needed. If we don't give Ruben his players, then just get Frank in. I agree with this notion. If you're not going to give him the players, bring in a manager that's used to having squads of this level and let them work with it. Like, you're going to act like a mid-table club and build a mid-table squad. You need a manager who's used to that. You just do. It's no brainer. I don't think Rasmus was our worst that game. If there was ever a game you could say no service, it was last night. Bruno is not a pivot player. He's a 10. Yeah, especially against powerful midfields. He ain't got the legs for it. All banter aside, United had the same problem Arsenal have. Poor in front of goal. End of the day, it will always cost you. It's fair.
Do you think there's something about European coaches that United are appointing that it just takes them a little bit of time to understand what the Premier League's all about? Because I think you look at Ten Hag last season when we finished 8th and everyone thought that was the end of the world. I mean, I'd take that now. Remember like this time last year and all our rivals were going 8th, even when we won the FA Cup. I'm like, that sounds great now. But that whole season last year, the midfield just got completely got bypassed. And now you're looking at Amroim trying to turn Bruno Fernandes at 31 into a holding midfielder. That's one thing. I mean, you mentioned it, and we were talking about it on the United stand for a week. I was like, the most important thing he's got to do, because they can only play Bissouma Sarr and Bentancur because they've got no attacking midfielders. You've got to start Agate and Casemiro to counter their physicality in the midfield, and then he doesn't do it. And you're sort of like, was very naive from a tactical point of view. It's very naive.
And I think he viewed it as, I want to put him in there because he can. And this is where I agree with you. I wouldn't have done it. What I think his thought process was, and Bruno actually, the first goal comes from him giving it away. It was, well, if Bruno's on the ball in the middle, he's our best technician, and he's got more legs than Eriksen. If he gets on the ball, he can sweep it into those wide positions, and we might be able to exploit them. The problem was with Bruno's passing from the middle last night, it wasn't good enough. So that was the thing for me. He took a gamble and it backfired, partly because the player didn't perform. If Bruno had an amazing game and pulled off his passes and didn't lose the ball so regularly, it may not have been a mistake. So I wouldn't have done it. So I agree completely. But I can't ignore Bruno's bad performance as well. I still think he should have done better in that game as well.
Of the team,
yeah, absolutely. If they appoint Southgate, I will walk. I get you on that one. This here says Mark and Terry, a question from a neutral fan. What have you guys observed with Ruben since he came in that shows you he can do a great job with players? I watch United games, hence ask. I don't watch United games, hence asking.
I mean, it's tough this morning. As I say, I think I think I look more at what he did at Sporting, and I look at last night, and we're using fullbacks in a back five against a team that's not attacking. Now you look at what he did against Man City in the Champions League, which is a Premier League opposition in Portugal, and he's using wingers and it's a back five, but when they've got the ball, they're wingers. And I think that is something that he clearly can't do because he hasn't got a winger who can do it. I don't even think Ahmad can do it. So I think you've got to give him the players. Like, it's a bit like asking somebody to complete a puzzle with pieces that are missing. What I do like about Amroim, and I think I was thinking about this last night, it took me ages to get off, was that people talk about Southgate and this, that, and the other and sacking the manager. If I said to you, you can sack Amroim tomorrow, but it's Gareth Southgate the next day, surely you're not going to want that. So I look at this situation and I go, the alternative to Amroim could be worse. At least this is a manager that fundamentally, if it works, is going to play a brand of football that's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
So you can bring it. What Sean Dyche said, we spoke about this last week. Sean Dyche said, I'd win more games than Ruben Amorim. And we reacted to that and we both agreed he would. In the short term, he would. We'd be mid-table, but you'd hit a ceiling of crap football and 8th. So I don't want to be 8th playing crap football. I'd rather be 16th trying to play good football. And when that happens, I'll probably end up in the top 4. So this is a journey. It's a ladder. We're right at the bottom of this ladder. But I'd rather be at the bottom of this ladder than halfway up the one with Dyche where he can't go any higher.
Absolutely. Did they gamble with Ruben or was there a plan? I think it's a great question. We'll see this summer if there was the plan changed mid-season when we brought him in. Didn't do enough in January. We will see by the players that we buy. And to the point just made before, I think this ties in perfectly. The mistake under Ten Hag was we didn't make him implement his style from day one and then buy him the best possible players to make that system work. It was this fucking shit show and it messed up. If we brought Ruben in, the plan has to be, well, we know what his brand of football is. We need to buy players that suit that brand of football. If this summer we don't do that, then there is no plan and we are in big, big trouble. And there will be no more support or leniency or patience with Ineos if they don't buy more technical players that are more powerful, that run faster, because that is what Ruben needs. The goal was on Dorgu. Dorgu played a part, there's no doubt. And I'm not singling out Onana. We only mentioned Onana because it came up in the super chat. But Dorgu for me...
The Dorgu one's a bit thin, really. I mean, look, it's his man who goes behind Luke Shaw, but Luke Shaw's got to move quicker. And Arna's reactions are terrible. And you know, one of the big factors is Bruno Fernandes has got the ball on the halfway line and he's trying to play some miracle pass to Ahmad when he's got no one near him and he could have just knocked it wide and retained possession. And it's that 0-0 in a Europa League final. Why are you pushing the envelope, giving possession back to Spurs on a pass that's got about a 2% completion rate? You know.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with that. I don't think the goal was Bruno gave it away. I thought Shaw could have got to the near post quicker. The goalie was stuck in the mud. Dorgu shouldn't be seeing the number of the player he's marking. It's basic football. It was more than one player for me. So like I both said at the top of the show, maybe you weren't watching at that point, my friend, is that I don't think it's right today to blame any one individual for last night's loss or where we are as a club personally. Woke up at 3 a.m. to watch this shit with GCSEs today. Well, listen, don't do that. Your exams are... Listen, I love football, but your exams are more important, young man. They are more important. They really, really, really are. Bless you both. You help people so much. Thank you, Jacob. I appreciate that, my friend. United need to fire Sal like Chelsea did a few years ago. Yeah, I hope we get rid of a lot of players, man. Waking up today, the reality set in of how bad Man United are as a whole is the state we're in. Really sad to see. We have so much to fix. It feels like it's an impossible job. So many problems at bay. It's a long and hard one, Nigel, which again, we can sack Amroim today. It's still going to take a manager 3 or 4 years to get us to where we want to be. To where we want to be is years away, and we have to wake up and smell that coffee, my old mate. United need a... Oh, sorry, we've done that super chat. Mate, what has Amorim shown you to believe he will turn this around? You are not scared to spend millions. You are not scared to spend millions on Amorim with specific players that will work. I'm worried we will have duds. Listen, I'm worried. Listen, if we buy duds, though, that's not on Amorim. Amorim isn't doing the recruitment. Amroim will suggest the kind of players that he needs. If we're buying duds, it doesn't matter who the manager is, we'll foul, right? If you buy Pep, look at Pep's season, much better than ours. But by their standards and by Pep's standards, shocking. Why? Because their recruitment's been bad and players aged out. You buy dud players, every manager fails. Every manager fouls with dud players, my friend. Oh, so for me, you're right. But we need to buy better players who are good enough. If we buy better players that are good enough, every manager in the world of elite level would make us better. And then you can start to really hone in on, is this guy good enough to win us major trophies? But we never build good enough squads. We never do it. That, for me, is my focus. I think they are clueless about saving, making money. So Jim was shocked when Gary Neville suggested holding the fund rate. Yeah, we reacted to that. That was mad. Mark, do you think Onana genuinely has a chance of leaving? Love the content. Got my GCSEs today and still woke up at 3 a.m. to watch that crap.
He's back again, Brandon. Yeah. I think, look, I think that Amroim didn't want the job in November, and the Glazers and Sir Jim basically threatened him. It's now or never. So he took it. The one positive I would say about taking it is, and there isn't anything other than this, is that if he took the job next week, he'd still have Rashford, Anthony, and everyone next season because he wouldn't have time to look at them and they'd be part of the team. And he'd be buying players blind. So, look, next season could have gone the same as this season. So the one positive is that he's actually seen the shit and the players that he doesn't think are suitable. So he knows about who he wants to get rid of, etc. It'll be a total waste of time, though, if he goes, get rid of this, and this, and the club go, can't do that. What are you talking about? And then he'll go, so I've come in here, I've embarrassed myself, I've been battered week after week, but I do know the players I need to build, and I know the players I've got to get rid of, and you're not going to get rid of them. And Onana sort of fits into that. Onana's got to go. He's. Yep. We did a story on it on the United Stand in the international break that Amroim likes Onana, but it's not his guy. He wants him gone. If he's here next season as the goalkeeper, and this has happened to a lot of Man United players. Remember, Jose Mourinho wanted Martial to go, and the club said no. If Onana's in goal next season, who's at fault? Is Amroim at fault, or is it the club? And the club. Again, we talk about signings, but it's the same with sales. If Amroim says, get rid of this player, and they go, we can't, no one will buy him, and we're not going to take a loss on them, then the player's here next season. So, but this has been going on for years. How do you build a team when you can't get the players you need and you can't get rid of the players? If that player is a problem and brings morale down, then you're going into season with morale down and a lack of confidence. So, Onana should go, but I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't.
Yeah, I hear that. Why do you think Ruben Amorim gets the best out of his players at Sporting, but can't get the best out of young players like Mainu and Garnacho? Is his system too rigid, or are we just bad? I don't think his system is rigid, because you saw yesterday when Garnacho came on, he took the width and Dorgu inverted as an example. He's a manager that will throw a centre back up front if needed. That doesn't strike me as someone who's rigid, and I'm not changing no matter the game state. So I don't think it's too rigid. Also with Sporting, they have better players pound for pound for the league they play in. And also that league is a three-team monopoly. It's three teams that have the lion's share of the money. So they can scoop up players a lot easier than we can in England. It's a lot harder now, for instance, to get good players off of the mid teams and the low-level teams in terms of income because of the TV deal money. We also have an awful squad in comparison on a pound-for-pound level. Their squad is so superior to us. Plus, in the last 2 years, before he left, he had a goal scorer that was scoring 50 goals a season. You take Gyokeres out of that Sporting team for the last 2 years, keep everything else the same, but put a striker that scores 5, 6, 7 goals a season in, they don't win back-to-back league titles. So you also have to remember, he had a goal scorer that, whether or not he does it for Arsenal next year at the same level, has scored and assisted in like 104% of the games he's played in. That's where a system gets brought to life, when you have players that can change games, individual brilliance. So it's a combination of things. What did the Glazers do with the money from Sir Jim? No, they kept it. I think Ineos massively dropped the ball, focusing on Amroim coming in mid-season. Yeah, a lot of people have said that it may have been better off an interim until the summer, and maybe that would have kept spirits higher. As an Arsenal fan, I am as pissed as United lost. It's not more. Sorry. If not more. Yeah, Arsenal fans are fuming today. They'll get
Gyokeres. They'll get Gyokeres.
Yeah, do you reckon they'll get Gyokeres now? Do you reckon they'll go to Arsenal?
Well, it's a free hit. I suppose the only worrying thing for Arsenal, and this is another manager who might be in trouble, is apparently it's Arteta who's not quite sure. So if you don't get Gyokeres, it'll be Arteta, won't it? But no, you've got a clear path to get him now. I mean, I think Arsenal were favourites anyway, but bloody hell, I mean, I don't begrudge any player for choosing Arsenal over Man United.
No, I hear you. Ange always had the ability to change and win a one-off game. I've always believed that no Europe and more wage dropping will result in a mass exodus. Every high point has low points. It's now. Yeah, look, I hear you on a lot of that. I mean, Ange, the one thing I would say about Ange, Spurs fans have been right all along. It was the system that was costing them the Prem. He could have been far more defensive in certain games. They'd be much higher in the league because they're pretty good at it. Where do you guys get the idea we will get Southgate? You have to stop trying to scare people with dangling Southgate. We are doomed with Amorim. I mean, it was a bit of a joke based on a super chat from someone, mate. It was a super chat from a viewer. We didn't.
Has he not seen the latest from Romano? What? Emmanuel, you might want to go and check Romano's Twitter feed. We'll leave you with that.
There we go. If you don't get his players, how can we keep him? Well, I agree with that. If we don't buy players that suit his system, we should move him on. But that's not an Amorim problem. That's an Ineos issue. For me personally, we need better players in this squad. Look, we had a few other things to react to, but the time has run out. Your super chats dictated the show, which is amazing from each and every single one of you. Do me a big favor, please, everybody, and hit the like button before you go today. It's really, really important. Mark, when you live later today?
Yeah, make sure you subscribe as well. You're nearly at 455. Yeah, Terry's on the United Stand at 8 o'clock tonight.
Yes, I am.
That was booked in a couple of days ago, and it's well timed because I think, as on here, just so many people got so much to say about United. So it'd be interesting for you to interact with our community on that. But I'm on the United Stand at 2. There's a lot going on at the moment. Beth's still in Bilbao. She's had a nightmare flight back. They've lost their luggage. I mean, there were so many people that I know went to Bilbao via ridiculous routes, like to get there, and private jets and stuff. People say private jets. Oh no, you can get a load of people together to get a private jet. Like you can get 30 people together and go on a private jet. Like it can be done. No, it's to go all that way and not see a goal as well. I think that's always criminal.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So look, guys, make sure you're supporting the United Stand at 2. I'm on there at 8. Plus, I'm live tonight again on the Football Terrace, the Top 6 show at 6 p.m. And I am dreading it being surrounded by rivals. I'm looking forward to being on the United Stand because it's United fans, right? I feel at home. I am dreading being on my own channel tonight at 6 p.m. So make sure you're back with us. And I want to thank everyone who subscribed during this show. Absolutely astronomical. During this show, we have grown by 550 subscribers. So predominantly that's going to come from the United Stand. So thank you very much, Mark, to you and your community there. Until next time, everybody, take care. Good. I also want to say very quickly, last week, this show on Spotify went into the top 20 above Shannon Sharp's podcast for sports podcasts in the United States of America. So again, thank you to everyone who has watched it on Spotify, downloaded it on Spotify. Absolutely brilliant. Just search Hot Take on Spotify and go and give us a little follow and a 5-star rating. That would be amazing. Until next time, everybody, take care. Goodbye. God bless, and I will see you all again very soon. Peace.